A few hours later, I heard someone waking me up.
Hey, Erica, wake up!
It was my husband. Well, come home.
What are you doing?
What?
What are these appetizers? My parents are here and you bought these cheap appetizers. I told you to do it right today, didn't I?
Yeah, that's what your father...
Now get up and start cooking. I'll throw this stuff away.
Hey! My name is Erica. I'm a 28-year-old office worker. I have a boyfriend named Sean. I met him at a blind date and he made a fierce approach to me. He was kind and funny and I was immediately attracted to him. Then, a year after we started dating, he proposed to me. The answer, of course, was yes. I was so happy that I was going to marry the man I loved so much. My parents also liked him and congratulated us on our marriage. His parents were also very nice people, and I knew we would have a very happy marriage life. After that, the wedding and the honeymoon went well and we started our new life. I was very happy and enjoying my new life with my husband. Then I got pregnant. On top of being happy, another wonderful event, and I felt the greatest happiness in my life. My husband was also very happy about the baby. I'm going to work harder, he said. However, I think my husband had the wrong idea about working. Even though I was suffering from morning sickness, he was working a lot of overtime to increase his income. I was so worried about having a baby for the first time, and I wanted him to come home early if he could. But it was not easy for me to tell this to my husband, who was working hard for me and the baby. Then, when 6 months had passed and I entered a stable period in my pregnancy, I decided to take both paid and maternity leave to take a break from my work. But I guess that had the opposite effect for my husband. He seemed to think I was bored at home and didn't do any housework anymore. When we first got married, we were both working, so we shared the household chores. Also, when I got pregnant, he took the initiative to do the housework because he was concerned about my health. But when he started working more overtime, he helped with the housework less and less, and I had to do it all by myself. I was feeling quite stressed out, and one day I had a run-in with my husband. He didn't work overtime and came home early that day. Oh, welcome back. You're home early today.
Yeah. By the way, what's for dinner?
I'm sorry. I'm not feeling well, so I was lying down until just now. And I was going to start cooking now.
Oh, I was able to come home early today, and how come there isn't any food?
What?
You're a stay-at-home wife, so you should do better.
I'm trying my best to do things right. Besides, the reason I'm taking time off work is because I'm pregnant and not feeling well. You should at least understand that.
Are you saying it's my fault? Don't blame me for your own inadequacies.
I didn't say it like that. I'm just saying that we are a couple and we need to support each other. What I want from you right now is not to work as hard as you do. I want you to be here for me and help me with the housework as much as possible.
In short, you want to slack off.
What? Why is that?
Because if you are going to be home all the time and depend on me to do the housework, it's nothing but just slacking off.
That's enough. I'm going to have the baby back home.
What do you mean?
I'm saying I'm going home to my parents for a while. I'm not coming back here until the baby is born. When I say that, my husband said, "Oh, really? Do whatever you want." And he stormed out of the house. I felt sad and wondered why it went so wrong. I cried alone in the house. I wondered if I would be happy to give a birth in this situation. After that, I went back to my parents' house and took it easy with their support. It seemed that I had been under a lot of stress. After resting at my parents' house, my physical condition improved considerably. Then, about 2 months after I started living at my parents' house, my husband and in-laws suddenly came to visit. I hadn't had any contact with my husband since I went back to my hometown, so I was puzzled by the fact that they came out of the blue. Apparently, they wanted to apologize to me. It seems that my in-laws had come to the house where my husband and I live because they were worried about my health. They were surprised to see that I was gone. Then when they asked my husband what was going on there, he told them that I had gone back to my hometown after a fight. They grabbed my husband by the neck and came to my parents' house.
Erica, I'm really sorry about our stupid son. We gave him a big lecture. He doesn't understand how hard and painful pregnancy is. Come on, you apologize too. Erica, I'm sorry.
My husband bowed his head saying apologize.
It's okay. I'm sorry I got emotional too.
And we were able to reconcile. My in-laws are really nice people. I don't know what would have happened if they hadn't come in to mediate this time. And then the baby was born, a healthy baby girl. My husband was very happy about the birth of our daughter. I took her with my back to the house where I lived with my husband. After maternity leave was over, I took a childcare leave and devoted myself to raising my baby. But taking care of the baby was harder than I had expected. My daughter cried a lot at night. Because of this, I could hardly sleep at night. I woke up in the morning exhausted, made lunch for my husband, and did housework. One day, I reached my limit. I fell asleep with my daughter while I was putting her to bed. It was already nighttime and my husband woke me up. "Oh, I'm sorry. I knew I was in trouble. I hadn't prepared anything for dinner. He might get angry at me like he did before." My husband gave me an annoyed look, but didn't get mad. He said, "Next Saturday, my parents are coming to celebrate the birth of the baby, so you better be on top of things then." I remembered that my mother-in-law had contacted me just before. "It's already coming up next week. I was concentrating on taking care of my baby, and the day of the celebration came in the blink of an eye. Well, I have to go to work in the morning. Okay. Make sure to prepare the decent meal for my parents, okay? Yes, I will. Although my husband don't get angry anymore. He still seems to underestimate the difficulties of taking care of a baby. After he left for work, my daughter had just fallen asleep and I was ready to start cooking. Then suddenly the doorbell rang. Who is in the world at this time? I answered. And to my surprise, it was my parents-in-law. What happened? You were supposed to come over this afternoon, weren't you? I'm so sorry coming all of a sudden. I was just thinking that you must be trying very hard to make a feast. Look, I bought appetizers, so we can all eat this together. Oh, he picked them out and brought them for you. Oh, really? Thank you. That's when my daughter started crying. Apparently, the sound of the doorbell woke her up when the in-laws came over. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry we woke her up. Erica, is she crying a lot at night? How do you know? Sean cried a lot too, so I thought she might be like that too. Then, Erica, you haven't slept much, have you? I'll take care of her. You can get some rest in the meantime. Get some good rest. I'll go and buy the booze and other drinks. Let me know if you need anything else. Thank you for everything, Mother and Father. So I decided to listen to them and get some rest. I lay down on the couch and slept. A few hours later, I heard someone waking me up. Hey, Erica, wake up! It was my husband's voice. Welcome home. What are you doing? What? What are these appetizers? My parents are here and you bought these cheap appetizers. I told you to behave today. Oh, that's your father. Now get up and start cooking. I will throw this stuff away. Hey! My husband grabbed the appetizers and was about to throw them away, so I tried to stop him. There's no way I can serve this to my mom and dad. So these were... I was about to explain when I heard a loud voice behind me. Hey, what are you doing? It was my father-in-law's voice. Apparently, he just got home. My mother-in-law, who went for a walk with my daughter, was also with him. Hi, Dad. Listen to me. I told her you were coming today, but she slept in and didn't even cook. And she tried to cover it up by buying these cheap appetizers. I'm going to throw this away, so just wait a little longer. I'll have Erica cook something now. Your father bought those. He looked at me and froze. What did you say? That's the appetizers your father picked up and brought for us. I've been trying to tell you this. Oh no. My husband's face instantly turned pale. My father-in-law came closer to my husband with a very scary look on his face. I'm sorry I picked cheap appetizers. No. It's just, what the hell is your problem? You don't care about Erica at all. I thought you changed your mind after I scolded you the other day before the baby was born. You haven't changed at all. I'm sorry. Just then, we heard a message notification on my husband's phone. His phone was on the dining table. My mother-in-law, who was closest to the phone, saw the screen.
Sean, who is this Karen?
Oh no.
You forgot your cigarettes and lighter. Next time you come back, make sure you take them with you. Sean, what is this? Well, that's, I thought you were going to work. Who is this woman? Karen?
My husband seemed to realize he couldn't get away with it and confessed to the affair.
You've got to be kidding me!
My father-in-law's iron fist exploded on my husband. He got down on his knees and apologized to me in tears.
Well, it was just a case of the devil getting the better of me.
He tried to excuse himself, but I couldn't trust him anymore. I can't do this anymore. Please, let's divorce.
Oh, no!
My in-laws say, of course you should get a divorce. I'm sorry for all the trouble my stupid son has caused you. They apologized.
I'll make him do whatever you want about the divorce.
With that, my parents-in-law took my husband out of the house and went back to their house. Later, my parents-in-law came to my house with the divorce papers. They told me that they made my husband tell them about the affair. The adulterer was a junior employee of the same company. To my dismay, they had been having an affair since I was pregnant. He was not working overtime, but meeting secretly. I filed for alimony against my husband and the adulterer, and child support for my husband. Since my in-laws were with him, my husband could reject and agreed to my demands. So, we got divorced. My ex-husband was told by his parents that they would pick his rotten guts out. My ex-husband is forced to live a life of daily surveillance, going back and forth between work and home. Also, my ex-husband paid alimony direct to me, but my in-laws paid me a lump sum of child support money, which was a considerable amount. My ex-husband will have to pay back to his parents little by little. My in-laws also manage my ex-husband's salary and give him an allowance every month. It's a very inconvenient life, but it's all his fault. On the other hand, I returned to my parents' house, and with the help of my parents, I went back to work. My daughter has grown up so well, and she makes me happy with her cute smile every day. I will continue to work hard for her and take good care of her. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you like. See you next time.
Apparently, there was a big fire at Company X. At that moment, I felt as if I had been hit on the head with a hammer, because that was the company where my husband worked. I hope he's okay. I called my husband, praying that he escaped from the fire. The call rang. As if my prayers had been answered, I heard my husband's voice say, "Hello? Max, where are you? Are you safe?" I was so happy to get through to him that my voice got louder. My husband seemed to be annoyed and said, "What's the matter with you? You're talking so loud." I'm at work. Don't call me while I'm working. And the call was immediately hung up. At any rate, my husband didn't seem to be involved in the fire. But his answer was strange. My name is Mona. I'm 32 years old. I'm a nurse, and work has been the main part of my life. So I got married 3 years ago when I was 29 years old. I was lucky to get married in my 20s, just barely. I met my husband, Max, through an acquaintance. We hit it off right away and are enjoying our married life at his company housing. We have been married for 3 years but still have no children together. But I believe that I can build a happy family with my husband. My husband is sometimes self-centered, but in general, he's a kind and good person. He expresses his love to me, and I feel safe with him. But recently, he seems to be very busy with his work and working more and more on his days off. I guess he's tired because of this, and he doesn't pay much attention to me at home. After dinner, he sits on the sofa in front of the TV, which he doesn't even watch. He looks at his phone all the time with the TV as a background music. When I talk to him, he only says, "Yeah," or "Oh," or something like that. At first, I thought I might have said something to put him in a bad mood. But I decided to think that he was simply tired from his busy work schedule. If he was that tired, I would make sure that I pack him lunch and prepare dinner every day. I try to make the daily lunch and dinner nutritious and well balanced. Then one day, something strange happened. The day before, I received a call from a coworker asking me to switch between the day and night shifts. So I suddenly had to change to the day shift. I had originally told my husband that I would be working the night shift, so I thought I would tell him about the shift change. But I was busy and ended up emailing him on the same day. I emailed him and told him that I had changed to the day shift and that I would make dinner and wait for him. But I didn't get a reply back. I thought he was busy at work, so I also concentrated on my own work. But when I finished work, he still hadn't responded. He used to reply early even when I was at work, and sometimes he used emojis in his text. But this time, he only read my message and never replied. Is he working so hard, or is this what happens after 3 years of marriage? Feeling a little sad, I went to the supermarket on my way home from work and bought some ingredients because I decided to cook nutritious dinner for my husband again today, at any rate. It was very cold today, so I decided to make a one-pot dish. I cut up the ingredients and waited for my husband to come home so that I could start cooking right away. But no matter how long I waited, he never came home. He usually arrives home at 7 p.m. And when he finally came home, it was already 9 p.m. Welcome back. You're home late. Did you do some overtime work? Oh yeah. But did you have to work the day shift suddenly? Yeah. A coworker had an emergency. I was a little late to tell that to you. I see. Well, I guess you couldn't help it, but it's a little annoying that you have to tell me on the same day. I might have had plans for a drink or something. Oh, you're right, I'm sorry. I said that and turned on the stove for the pot. Oh, you haven't eaten yet? No, I thought I'd wait for you. Well, thanks. But next time you don't have to wait for me. I felt a little sad to hear my husband say this. I waited for the hot pot to boil. It started to simmer, so I served my husband's portion. Then I served mine. I was starving after waiting for him all this time. I was enjoying the hot pot, thinking it was delicious. Then I noticed that my husband was not eating so much. What's wrong? You don't seem to be eating so much. When I said that, he said, "Oh yes," and became somewhat confused. And then he said, "No, actually, I was working late, so a junior colleague at work bought me a rice bowl. So I'm not really hungry." Okay. Then you should have responded to me and told me that in advance. I mean, you should have said so before I started making the hot pot. I think he noticed that I was in a bit of a bad mood. Okay, then put all my portions aside in the fridge. I'll eat it tomorrow morning. He tried to put me in a better mood. Then my husband lay down on the couch. A few minutes later, he got up and suddenly said, "I'm going for a walk." That's unusual. When I said that, he answered, "I haven't been getting enough exercise lately, and I've been working late, so I need a change of pace." He began to get ready to go out. I felt a little empty sitting alone at the table eating the hot pot, so I also put my portion in the fridge. I feel like I've eaten a little too much, and my husband and I haven't been able to spend a lot of time together lately, so I decided to accompany him for a walk. But my husband refused to go for a walk with me. He said it's not good for me to move just after eating. He also said that he would go for a long walk and he wanted to be left alone. He ended up going out for a walk by himself. I thought his behavior was suspicious, so I secretly followed him. And my fear turned out to be true as soon as I started following him. Despite my worries, my husband was walking with great enthusiasm. He stopped in front of a park, which is a bit far away from the house. He looked around, and he seemed to be communicating with someone on his phone. I wondered who in the world he was talking to. A few minutes later, a car pulled in. My husband approached the car and started talking lightly with the person in the driver's seat. It was dark and hard to see, so I got closer to the car. Then my eyes caught sight of a person sitting in the driver's seat. She had long curly hair and glossy lipstick on her lips. It was a woman. A woman laughing happily as my husband got into the passenger seat. He is totally having an affair, right? By the time I thought that, the car with the two of them had already driven away. I stood there for a while, stunned. And then my husband sent me a text message saying that he happened to meet someone he knew and that he would be home a little late. Someone he knew? Just out of nowhere? I didn't believe him at all. He had said that he had already eaten and didn't have an appetite, but it was past 2 a.m. when my husband came home. He didn't even notice that I was awake. He seemed tipsy and went to the kitchen to drink a glass of water. After that, he often worked overtime only when I was on the day shift. We always had a hard time to match our off days, but now it's even harder. Yesterday he worked overtime, and today he has to work on his day off. But is it really work? I wonder if he's meeting the woman I saw that day. I can't help but wonder about that. I went online to look for information about detective agencies, and I found myself submitting an investigation request to the most reliable one. I felt guilty about investigating behind his back, but if nothing is going on, I could trust my husband again. So I decided to have them investigate. Waiting for the results of the investigation was really hard. My husband was as quiet as ever, and every time I saw his face, that woman was on my mind. I wanted to get a clear picture as soon as possible. Then something incredible happened. It was Saturday, and I was busy working as usual on the day shift. My husband was also at work on his day off. I was concentrating on my work, thinking that since we were both at work, I didn't have to think about anything else. Then I heard the sirens of the fire truck in the distance. The sound got closer and closer, and louder. And just when I thought they were passing by, I heard another siren. It wasn't just one fire truck, but 2 or 3 more. This must mean that there was a big fire nearby. I felt a little uneasy and worried. Then 2 of my colleagues who had gone to the hospital room came back with serious looks on their faces. Apparently, they were talking about the fire. You mean the fire? Yes, that's right. Apparently, there was a big fire at Company X. At that moment, I felt as if I had been hit on the head with a hammer, because that was the company where my husband worked. I rushed to explain the situation to my colleagues, and I went to call my husband to make sure he was safe. Please be safe. With that in mind, I called his phone. Even though we had not been talking a lot, I always saw him off when he left for work in the morning. I prayed and hoped that he had escaped from the fire. The call rang. As if my prayers had been answered, I heard my husband's voice say, "Hello? Max, where are you? Are you safe?" I was so happy to get through to him that my voice got louder. My husband seemed annoyed and said, "What's the matter with you? You're talking so loud." "I'm at work. Don't call me while I'm working." And the phone was immediately disconnected. At least my husband wasn't involved in the fire. But his answer was strange. There was a fire and several fire trucks were on the scene. There was no way he could be working like that. Does that mean that he didn't go to work? And why should he be so cold to me when I'm worried about him? I was getting more and more angry with my husband. Maybe I'd been seeing him off just so that he could go to another woman since we got married. And then I made a decision. I would leave that house. As soon as I got home, I started packing my stuff. When I looked in the mailbox, I saw that the results from the detective agency had just arrived. I decided to leave the house with the results of the investigation. My parents helped me pack my things. The contractor would be here soon too. I had my things moved out right away. My husband didn't seem to know that I knew the truth. I didn't hear from him at night. I guessed he was staying with his lover all the time. I packed a lot of my furniture and appliances which I used from my single days. The room was almost empty and looked deserted. Staring at the room, I realized that I had no lingering affection for the life in this house. For now, I moved my belongings to my parents' house and looked for a new place to live alone. My husband finally called me the next day. "Hey, what's going on? Most of your stuff is gone." "Of course, I moved out of that house." "What? What the hell were you thinking? When are you coming back? What about my food? What about the house chores?" I was in shock. After all, That's all you think about when it comes to me. While talking to him, it reminded me again of the fire at my husband's company. This guy was playing with his affair partner instead of going to work. When I remembered that, anger welled up in me. Why don't you get another woman to do that? Huh? What are you talking about? You were with a woman named Linda today, weren't you? Huh? What are you talking about? I was working at the office. Oh, at the office. How long did you work today? It was a busy day. Even though I was working on my day off, it took me until late in the evening. I see. That's why I was so surprised that you moved out. Why don't you stop lying already? Huh? You lied about going to work, right? I wasn't lying. I was working. What's going on? How can you work until the evening when there was a fire in the office during the day? Huh? When I called you during the day, several fire trucks were dispatched to your company. They were there to put out a fire that broke out at your office. That's why I called you. I wanted to know if you were okay. You told me not to call you when you're at work. You were talking like there was no fire. Well... And I have evidence of the affair from a detective agency. There's no way for you to get away. You have to go through my lawyer for the rest of the correspondence. I'll make sure I'll get the alimony. Oh, no! My husband repeatedly begged for my forgiveness and apologized to me. But I no longer have any affection for him. I'm sorry, but there's no way to fix it. I'm hanging up now. Wait! Wait! I went to my lawyer and demanded a divorce and alimony from him. The divorce was finalized and he was not able to get away with it based on all the evidence. And my husband and the adulterer paid me a reasonable amount of alimony. It seems that my husband's partner was a junior colleague at the same workplace. The news of the affair spread through the company in no time. The fact that they were having an affair at a time when the company was in the middle of a fire seemed to have caused quite a lot of negativity among their colleagues. My husband and the affair partner are both getting cold stares from everyone around them, so they're feeling very ashamed of themselves. They really deserve it. Meanwhile, I moved to a new apartment and I'm living a comfortable single life. I'm hoping to meet a sincere man the next time. I'm a nurse, which is a stable job, so I'm taking my time and not rushing into a relationship. I'm also enjoying my own time. She found out her husband's affair unexpectedly because of the fire at his company. But he shouldn't have had an affair to begin with, and she would have found out sooner or later. I think he deserves all of it. Enjoy your single life as a nurse.